Are we ready to go? It's 6:30.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 15th, 2021 Landmarks Committee meeting. My name is Saida Harrigan. I'm an associate with CB8, and I'll be handling the technical aspects of tonight's meeting. A few notes for you in the event that this is your first meeting with us. You'll notice that you are muted and unable to mute yourself. After the presentation, the co-chairs will call on members of the public who wish to speak. You can ask to be recognized by raising your virtual hand. It's important not to raise your physical hands or wave at the screen because we won't be able to see you that way. You can raise your hand by going to the reactions button at the bottom of your screen and selecting raise hand. If you are using an older version of Zoom, you can access the raise hand feature by clicking the participants button on the menu at the bottom of your screen and selecting raise hand. If you are on the phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 and *6 to unmute. Once you've been recognized by the co-chair, I will go ahead and unmute you, and you may be prompted to confirm unmuting on your device. The chat function is available for technical support only, not to communicate with the co-chairs. So we ask that you reserve comments for technical issues. And with that, I will pass the mic over to co-chairs Jane and David.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Saida. That was wonderful. This is, as Saida said, the March meeting of the Landmarks Committee, Community Board 8. We are going to hear 2 applications tonight. We will discuss the context and appropriateness of each application. After we hear from the public, we go into executive session and we'll formulate a resolution, which will be voted on at our full board meeting this coming Wednesday evening. We also, after we hear the 2 resolutions, we are also going to have a presentation by Friends of the Renwick Ruin, which is on Roosevelt Island. The presentation will be made by Friends of the Ruin. So with that, we're going to start, and the first application will be heard by David Halpern, the co-chair.
Thank you, Jane. I am having another problem with unstable internet. So if you lose me for a few seconds now and then, you'll know why. So the first application is 201 East 65th Street, Adam Kushner, architect, a modern style mixed-use building designed by Mayer and Whittlesey and Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, and constructed 1947 to 51. Application is for installation of an exterior awning. So Mr. Kushner, are you here?
Virginia Camillo is presenting.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
Should I, how do I share my screen? Are you gonna give me access to the presentation?
Yes, you have access to share your screen right now, so you can go ahead and pull it up.
Do you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
I do not see it. If you're unable to do it, I can pull it up for you.
Should be able to now. Just hit share screen. There you go.
Okay. And I'm here also too. So maybe we should put it here. Okay. So let me go to. Okay. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Aida and David said, my name is Virginia Camillo, and I'm a senior project manager at Kushner Studios. My co-workers, John Bedard, Maria del Solar, and Waldy Lopez are also here at this community board meeting tonight. And Kushner Studios is a medium-sized architectural firm with more than 25 years of experience and mainly focus on commercial and residential projects. Tonight, we will be discussing the installation of an exterior awning, Canopy, at 201 East 65th Street. The property, as you can see, it's a modern style apartment and retail complex. It has 21 floors and occupies an entire block, bounded by 65th Street, 66th Street, 2nd Avenue, and 3rd Avenue, as you can see here. The building was originally built in 1947 and 1951, and it was originally designed by Mayer and Whittlesey and Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. On April 10th, 2007, it was designated an individual landmark. Here.
Virginia, could you repeat that? I went on unstable for quite a while.
Okay, the last portion?
The last portion.
Yes, on April 10th, 2007, the building was designated an individual New York City landmark. So Manhattan cardiologist offices currently occupy a portion of the cellar and subcellar of this property. The stairs on the south facade of the property here currently provide access to the cellar and were originally designed as open to the sky. This was one of our client's main concerns. And as a response to our client's concern, our office suggested the installation of an exterior awning while providing weather protection over the stairs. The proposed structure is made of an intense waterproof blue membrane and has white lettering ranging between 3 inches and 14 inches. The framing is achieved by a 1-inch square staple system made of aluminum and metal poles coated in Pacific blue color, matching the awning color. Illumination underneath the structure is proposed through 8x4s exterior LED lighting fixtures. The proposed overall dimensions are 24 feet 8 inches by 14 feet 9 inches and 10 feet 10 in height. And its configuration follows the stair slopes, as you can see here. So here you're able to appreciate how dangerous and slippery the stairs can get. And also the proposed illumination underneath the canopy. A doctor's directory, which we included here a detail, is also proposed here. There is another awning installed at the property on the 66 side of the property. And it's this one here. Let me zoom in so that you can see. It's this one here. As you can see, it provides weather protection to this orthopedics and sport medicine office located on the north side of the property. Here, number 7. As per previous conversations with LPC's preservationist, this awning constitutes a recladding with blue canvas and white lettering of an existing entrance canopy at the time the property was designated an individual landmark. We have included pictures of the existing signage and canopies that are currently installed at the complex. As you can see, the proposed color and configuration of the new canopy is very similar to that one on 64th Street. So this is the one that I previously talked about, and this is the one that we are presenting tonight. We would like to emphasize that this awning provides weather protection over the open stairs, which represents a dangerous condition for the patients coming in and out of the medical facility. I am going to zoom into each one of these pictures so that you can appreciate what is currently there, what has been approved, the typologies of the signage, the color range. And this is the one that we are proposing tonight. So we would like you to consider our proposal, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts and comments. Thank you very much for your attention tonight.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there comments or questions from the public?
Is this Manhattan House, David? That's my,
I think it is between,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
between second and third, 65, 66, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
An early landscaped modern building. Yeah.
I don't see any raised hands from the public.
Well, so we'll go to the committee, and Saida, if you would just take us in order. since
Okay.
you will have the names in front of you and I will not.
Okay. Elizabeth Ashby, you're unmuted. Remember, it's *6 to unmute on the phone.
Elizabeth?
There you go,
Can you
Elizabeth.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Is this walkway stairs or is it a slope?
There are stairs open to the sky, as I showed here.
So this is not handicapped accessible.
Not through these stairs. There's probably another entrance that is handicap accessible, but not this one, no.
There is a handicapped entrance?
Not at this, on this side of the street, no.
Well, I think this is hardly a small self-effacing addition to the building. If it provided genuine accessibility to the office, I think I would find it supportable. But it's just covering stairs when a more suitable entrance to a medical office would be handicapped accessible. I think we're doing half the job here. And as it's so hit you in the face large, I don't know that I could support this.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Who's next?
Gail, you're unmuted.
My comments actually echo Elizabeth's. It certainly seems so large that it's almost out of proportion, although I would agree that some type of covering would be necessary. I think the other problem is the lettering. I mean, if we really are just looking at the medical office and the name, and maybe even a phone number, but when you start using it rather than as wayfaring, care that never quits, it becomes more of a promotion for the medical offices themselves, and I don't think that that is appropriate. I also would think that maybe there's a way of just scaling it down a little bit, because obviously those stairs are dangerous. So you'd want some type of covering, but as it stands right now, I think it's a little overdone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle, confirm unmuting.
Thank you. Is this a secondary entrance to the same offices that are accessed at the front of the building, or is this a different set of offices?
This is a different set of offices.
Excuse me?
This is a different set
A
of
different
offices.
set. So for these offices, this would be the only entrance.
Yes.
So the fact that it's not handicapped accessible is really critical. I thought perhaps it was an extension of, just a back entrance of the other offices, that there's another way in. But if that's not the case, I would submit it needs to be. Now, I remember with Manhattan House, we agonized over the change of the pavers or the flagstone in the circular driveway in the front, and decided to pay homage and deep respect to the architects. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we voted that there be no change in that. I'm only recalling that so as to show you how seriously we took the landmark status of Manhattan House, and I continue to feel that way. My reaction is the same as Elizabeth's and Gail. I think the awning is more like an advertising canopy. I think the color blue not only is it oversized, but that's quite jarring. To me, it could only be possibly acceptable if it were the white beige, like the color of the very special bricks on this building. And then as you looked at it with the brickwork as a background, it might blend in. And then with perhaps like a darker beige for the lettering with much less information. So we're not here to design the canopy for you, but I think that as presented, I could not approve this. It's way too stark. The color is inappropriate. It's too big. And the listing of the physicians also is too promotive. If it's just informational, it could be on a creamier background with a contrast for the doctor's name. So I will not support this. Sorry, thank you. And I would like an answer about the handicapped accessibility if this is a different set of offices.
Well, the reason why we're here tonight is to present the awning, not the accessibility to these offices. But we will definitely take that into consideration, and we will maybe bring it up to our clients and let them know.
Sorry,
this is John Bedard from Kushner Studios. Just to weigh in here, there is like this is an existing doctor's office that was created when the building was created. It's possible that there is a separate entrance that we can look into. But yeah, I mean, we're not creating this entrance. We're just trying to make it a safer experience for the people going to these doctors, to protect them from the weather and from, slips and falls, as it were.
Go to the next, please.
Alita, you're unmuted.
Thank you. I agree with my colleagues. I can't approve it. It's the Manhattan House is grand. It's evocative. It's Mad Men. It's glamorous. And this is advertising in the wrong color, in the wrong size. And that's not even getting to the signage of the doctors' names. So I can't support this in any format that it has. Maybe a different color, a different size, but the way it's presented, I just can't. Thank you.
Sarah, you're unmuted.
I joined the conversation late, so I'm looking forward to hearing what my colleagues say. Thanks.
Anthony, confirm unmuting.
Hi. I agree completely with everybody else, but just to sort of, I don't know whether it constitutes rubbing it in or making additional points, but this space was a restaurant about 40 years ago, maybe a little less, in the early 80s. And I don't know if it was ever actually accessible from any other part of the building. And it was originally a restaurant. I can't actually decide what I like least about this. Part of it is the color, but I think also it's a particularly ungraceful, I'm not even sure that's a word, ungraceful shape. I understand the need for some kind of covered way to get down to the doctor's office, but this seems to me to be not the way. And there are probably other cues in the building that might be more appropriate. Certainly the building at its origin was intended to be very kind of modern and, let's say, 1950 minimal. That's why the carefully selected, not quite white color. It was intended to be a modernist building, and this canopy is anything but that. And just say nothing of the doctor's offices. But anyway, so I don't think I can't think of a world in which I could support this. Thank you.
Marco, confirm unmuting.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. There is a rule that said you touch it and you must be in compliance with the law. And in this case, you have to be in compliance with the ADA. So there is no discussion about that. I think this is one of the first points. The second is the lettering that you are putting are too busy, and it's not according with any regulations of the lettering in awnings or canopies. And the third part is basically the color create too bulky the canopy, and it's excessive, and the contrast is so great that become predominantly. I know that's your intention as a designer, but I think it's not appropriate in a residential building. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no public members, we can move on to other committee members. I'm sorry, other board members. I see Barry Schneider. So Barry, confirm unmuting.
Yes, good evening. I agree with my colleagues. I believe this is not appropriate to the building.
Thank you, Barry. Let's go to Jane.
Thank you, Saida.
You're welcome.
This is an individual landmark, and it was designated because it is the great iconic modernist apartment building in New York City. I think the only modern building that has been designated an individual landmark. I'm shocked by the presentation from the architect that they didn't care enough about this incredible building that they are associated with. So I cannot support the application in any way. Thank you, Saida.
Thank you, David.
I guess it's back to the co-chair.
Sorry, we have a raised hand. Michelle Birnbaum.
Michelle, what is it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should wait for your two comments. I was gonna make a motion to disapprove, but I'll withhold that if you and Jane are gonna make comments.
Well, Jane's already made her comments, and I don't want to be duplicative of all the comments that have been made. The only comment I would make is that I was very surprised not to see this in the context of the block, because it is, as everyone points out, a very strong statement, whether it's appropriate or not. We'll vote on in a minute, but was given no context. We're just looking at it as an object. And it may be that it might be a little bit more in scale if we had looked at it in the context of the block. But the way it's presented, I can't support it either. So Michelle, if you would like to make a motion, please do so.
Okay, a motion to disapprove as presented.
Do we have a second?
We have a second from Anthony Cohn.
Okay. And Saida, will you please call the roll?
Okay. 1 second. Let me pull up my screen. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Elizabeth Ashby. 1 second.
A yes is a disapproval. Elizabeth?
That's *6 to unmute.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
yes.
you.
Thank you.
Gail?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Alita?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Anthony? Anthony? Oh, yeah. Confirm unmuting, Anthony.
Anthony, you're still muted. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay. That work? Yes.
Yeah.
Marco?
Yes.
Okay. Barry Schneider?
Yes.
Okay. Jane
Yes.
and David?
Yes.
Okay. We have 10 yes. All right.
We haven't missed anybody on the voting, right?
No. All right. So we can move on to the second item.
Okay, we're going to go to 14 East 60th Street, the Upper East Side Historic District. This is an application for window replacement, installation of signage directly to stone facade, installation of a retractable awning. Is the applicant here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. You can start your presentation.
This is a Beaux-Arts building constructed in 1902.
Want to share the screen?
Oh, so sorry about that. Oops. Okay, sorry. So this is a Beaux-Arts building constructed in 1902 by R.C. Weathersleeve. Originally built.
Gildersleeve.
Excuse me.
Isn't it Gildersleeve?
Gildersleeve, correct. Originally used as a hotel and commercial, and converted in 1969 to office and restaurants, eating and drinking. And these are two pictures. The one on the right is a historical picture, I believe, for the Landmark District in 1980. And we're talking about this side of, oh, I can't draw. All right. We're talking, you can see my mouse?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're really talking about these two openings here. This is the window replacement we want to do. And also want to add a retractable awning on top. And then at this part here, do signage. So in plan, here it is on the bottom, the existing and what we propose there. So now we're presenting to change the existing window, which is right now fixed, and make it operable, similar to the restaurant on the right, which is Avra. So we've taken the details from Avra and instituted in our window here. So the facade will match along the whole front. This here is the existing window that is there currently, and we want to replace it with this type of window, which is in the Avra on the right side. And the awning that we want to provide, which is a retractable awning for a sidewalk cafe, is going to be straight with a filler piece to mimic the curvature of the arch. And lastly is the signage that we plan to put on the stone, similar to Abra, also on the right. So it will be called Mad Pizza Bar, and we'll have 3 pinholes, and we're going to try to match the pinholes that are existing there when the old tenant was there, Georgette. And that's it, those 3 items.
So it's this window, the signage, and the awning.
Correct.
Those 3 things. Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to the public. Is anybody from the public there, Saida? Can you tell?
Again, for the public, remember to go to the participants button on the bottom of your screen to press raise hand, or to the reactions button, depending on which version of Zoom you have. If you're on the phone, it's *6 to unmute. There are no hands raised.
So we can go to the members of the community board. I don't know whether it's too difficult to do them in reverse order. We started
not
with
at all.
Elizabeth last time, so we might
Start with
reverse the
Marco.
order this time.
Okay, Marco, confirm unmuting.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jane. I think this proposal is, the main idea is to match the other business.
Right.
Almost in the same condition. It makes consistent with what we have already. And I think the color is the right color, and the lettering is the right location. And it makes more sense maintain unity in the design. And I think I found that this application is very sensitive. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco.
Vinny, confirm unmuting.
This is fine. I suppose the only little tiny question I have is when is a question about when all the rest of the building, the Avra restaurant, when that was approved. Consistency is nice. I think this would be a welcome addition.
The Ava restaurant was done in 2015. I was also the architect for that restaurant too.
Okay. No, I think it's fine.
Sarah, confirm unmuting.
I think it's understated, but still allows the public to know, to see the signage. So I'm fine with it. Thank you.
Alita, confirm unmuting.
Thank you. I guess I'm troubled with signs in the stonework, but I see that Avra has it. So I think I would ask if there's a way, and I don't know if you said this and I missed it, I'm sorry, to match the material and the coloring of the letter so that if you're going to do it, it's at least as understated and consistent as possible. Could I just see the image again of what you intend to do with that window, because the arch and the piece above the arch or included in the arch is beautiful detail.
Right. So we are keeping the transom above it, and the fixed glass below it is we want to make it operable, very similar to what Avra did.
Okay. So when you say very similar, do you intend to make the awnings consistent so that
No. They will be consistent, but the colors will be different because they have their own brand. The Mad Pizzeria is not Avra, and they're going to have their own identity, but it'll be exactly the same awning that they have, which is straight retractable with a filler roof, with a filler piece to make it more even. If you can see right here, you can see.
Yeah, you could still see.
Right. So it's supposed to match the curvature of the arch. So it's full.
So what color would it be?
It's going to be dark blue. We have those colors right here. That's it. That's the color.
Okay.
It's this dark blue and gold color text.
And will the size of the text be similar to the Avra?
It will be size. We didn't really measure it. We were just following the rules for DOB, which is less than 12 inches on the flap. So we're actually at 4 inches. It'll be more subtle than Avra. Let me see if I have a picture of that.
Thank you. So did Georgette not want its name in the stone? And also I'd ask, you said you would try to match the holes that are already in there.
Correct.
That you make a really strong effort to do that.
Yeah, well, that's we've told the sign vendor that that's what we want to do, and we try to place the pins so it can be movable. but Georgette did have
I see.
their own logo on the stone.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Michelle, confirm unmuting.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. We're talking about two different things. We're talking about the window that's
Yes.
going to have an awning over it, and we're
Yes.
also talking about the front door.
No.
Okay, so so as I look at what you have on the screen, and I look at what's outlined in black,
Yep.
that is your front door.
No, the front door is right here.
Are you not doing anything to the front door?
It's going to be staff review, staff level, and it's going to be glass.
And what about a canopy?
There is a canopy there. We are refabricating the canopy that's there, and that's also at staff level.
That's interesting. It would be nice for us to have seen them both rather than one at staff and one here.
Well,
So,
it's going to mix up. If we present the canopy here, then that means the committee is going to see the canopy. We're not presenting to the committee because it's on the staff level.
well, does that mean we're not allowed to see it? I mean, we may
I
not.
could show it to you if you
prove it,
want. It's
but I
a
think-
separate, it
well,
won't be part of
I
this
think we should.
presentation.
I
It won't
think
be
we
part of
should.
this presentation, but I can show it to you. I have no problem with
That
that.
would be very nice. As much information as we could have is helpful. In the picture you have here on the lower part of the screen, while you're bringing that other one up,
Yep.
the canopy that's there in this picture, is
Yep.
that what was there?
Yes, that's, this is a
That's the
picture.
Georgette, and is
Yep,
that the
that's the
dark color
Georgette.
blue?
And it's a blue color, correct? Our color is a little different, but it is blue.
Different how?
It's a deeper blue. This is more muted.
So yours is going to be darker, not because
Correct.
because on the sample picture you showed, it almost looked like a royal blue.
Yeah, it's a very deep blue. It is
Well, deep. Okay, so we have a different. Deep to me is more like a navy. Is that correct?
I guess it's, if you think that, I mean, we're having a very dark blue. You could call it royal blue. It's not.
No, royal blue to me and dark blue are different, but that's all
Okay.
right.
That's okay.
Okay, so have you brought up, is this what's there?
I'm looking for it now.
Oh, sorry.
I have it right now. Let me see. Let me see this one. I want to give you one that we gave to Landmarks last week. So I'm just going to
Sure.
see what
no
it
problem.
is. Okay. This is it. So I'll put it on your screen here. Okay. So here we're doing door replacement, awning over the entrance, security camera, lighting, menu
I think
board.
we just want to
Wow.
see the awning. If you can just show us the awning
Sure.
so we can put it into context.
There it is. So we're refabricating this awning that's there, and it's going to be the same blue that we spoke about and the lettering, and just going to have the address, not the name. So they call it a marine blue here.
And the lettering is yellow, not gold. Yellow, correct?
Gold.
Gold.
Yes, it's gold.
Okay. So now the awning on the window that you're proposing,
Correct.
how is that in proportion size-wise to this one?
It's going to be shorter. This awning projects 2 feet beyond the lower step. And so this projects out about 4.5 feet from the face of the facade. And our awning will only project, I believe, 3 feet.
How much? 3 feet, did
3
you
feet.
say?
3 feet.
We will be the same color
Yes, exactly same color.
and the same lettering,
Yes, same font styles, correct.
same font, same size.
Yes, yes, you can see it right here. A little
And
clearer.
yes, that helps. That helps. And Mad Pizza Bar, is that raised like the Avra lettering? Because when you said it was in the stone, I had pictured it being etched, but that's not the case.
No, it's going to be mounted on top of the stone, so it's going to be brass, and very similar to Abra, it's brass, and then it's attached to the stone from behind. So there's a little gap of about quarter inch, half inch.
Are you going to do backlighting?
Nope.
No, okay. So, and the fixed window, now you're going to keep the top transient, transom?
Transit, yes.
You're going to just make it movable as a door or movable as a window?
It's going to be movable as a window, so the window will open up and it'll let fresh air in and air in.
So it'll be like a double door that swings out?
Correct. It'll be very similar to that. It's the same thing as Abra right here. If you see, this is the Abra. It's the same sort of design and feature.
Are they clear glass or frosted or what?
Clear glass.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Gail, you're unmuted.
I think it's a very understated and consistent set of signs and all. I have no issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, you're unmuted. *6 to unmute.
Yes, I think it's quite acceptable. I'm glad that we saw the door next to it, because it does, in my view, have to harmonize with that, and I think it is a perfectly acceptable restrained proposal, and I could support it.
Okay. Barry Schneider, confirm unmuting.
Yes, good evening. I agree with my colleagues. I think it's quite appropriate, and I have no problem approving it. Thank you.
Thank you.
David?
David and Jane, I accidentally muted both of you. Sorry.
That's okay.
We actually have a raised hand from Gail. Gail can.
I apologize. I realize that David and Jane have not spoken yet. I was just going to make a proposal that we accept the presentation as presented.
I was not unmuted when I said that I was okay with this proposal.
David, do you want to go ahead?
And do what? To
make a comment?
Oh, no, I made a comment. I'm okay with the proposal.
And I am too. So Gail, your resolution is on the floor. Is there a second?
Second from Marco. Okay.
So I guess we can go to a vote, Saida.
Okay, 1 second.
Just seconded it.
I thought Marco had seconded.
Marco did.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Ashby. Remember *6 to unmute.
Yes.
Gail Barron.
Yes.
Michelle Birnbaum.
Yes.
Alita Camp.
Yes.
Sarah Chu.
Yes.
Anthony Cohn.
Yes.
Marco Tamayo.
Yes.
And Barry Schneider.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous approval.
Thank you, Saida. So it's a unanimous approval. Thank you for your presentation. we're going to go right to the Friends of the Ruin for, I hope will be, I understood to be a 5-minute presentation with hopefully some visuals for all of us. So so do we have the,
Yeah. Hi.
okay, go
Hi,
ahead and
Jane.
start.
Okay.
You
I-
might want to do a screen share as well so we can see some visuals.
Okay. I will start sharing my screen right now. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So my name is Stephen Martin. I represent a new nonprofit organization called Friends of the Ruin. And we are advocating for this building here. It's the landmark Smallpox Hospital on the southern tip of Roosevelt Island. And thank you so much for hosting me. This is, I just have a few quick slides. In the 1850s, I love this quote from the Times: New York was an astonishingly unhealthy place, and no epidemic raised more alarms than those of smallpox. The poignancy of this building now with relation to New York's history in terms of kind of medicine is it's a uniquely meaningful place. Blackwell Island, there are about 6 landmarks on the island. All of them have been either repurposed or stabilized, except the Smallpox Hospital on the southern end. But the island was really a site of New York's medically marginalized. As the reformer Jacob Riis once said, it was a place to keep, quote, our standing army of paupers, criminals, and the sick poor nearby, but distinctly apart from the island of Manhattan. The building was constructed in 1854. It was built entirely by prison labor on the island, and it cost $38,000 to complete. It opened in 1856. As you probably all know very well, it's a James Renwick building, who of course constructed St. Patrick's Cathedral, Grace Church, the Smithsonian Institution, and Vassar, some of the colleges at Vassar, some of the buildings at Vassar. But the building wasn't just a hospital. It also served training New York's front lines for many years, for about 60 years. And each of the wings is actually named after one woman who was a champion of the nursing school. So back in the 1880s, you would see labs, you would see dormitories, nurses, and it really was kind of a very renowned maternity training school. The building closed, we think, around 1956. It has designations of a federal, city, and state landmark designation. These are just a couple kind of dates to keep in mind of when the city acquired the island, when the building opened, when it was converted to a nursing school, and then when Friends of the Ruin was established. Friends of the Ruin, we see this building as a uniquely fitting memorial site with regards to everything we're going through in terms of COVID-19. It sits on Roosevelt Island directly north of the Four Freedoms Park Memorial. And of course, the FDR polio story is a very moving one and an important one. But it's also within the shadow of the United Nations and the World Health Organization complexes. It is our city's only landmarked ruin. It's landmarked as the Smallpox Hospital ruin. And it's a very accessible island, made more accessible by ferry service. We see this building as, once stabilized, it would be a wonderful addition to the New York City and New York State park system as a memorial park. You could imagine all of the kind of temporary bracing that's been put up since the 1970s could be stripped from it. The walls could be permanently stabilized and serve the public. It really hasn't had a tenant for so many years, 7 decades. And we really feel this belongs to all of New York City and Roosevelt Island. The interior spaces, I mean, this is a rendering, but the interior spaces look much like this. You know, they're kind of overgrown, and a gorgeous light streams from above, and the evocative see-through qualities are alive and well. You know, it deserves perhaps a memorial-like moment within the structure to contextualize what we're going through with regards to COVID-19 and so many other epidemics that this city has faced: HIV/AIDS, SARS, Ebola, smallpox, polio, and also kind of an online digital component that speaks to epidemics at large. A little bit of kind of where we are. The site has received about $1.2 million to date from the state and through public and private support. We have a historic preservation team on site right now completing stabilization drawings. And we've also partnered with local schools to teach historic preservation classes at the Williamsburg High School for Architecture and Design and other on-island partnerships. We think this will be an expensive undertaking, you know, and we would like to phase this out over, you know, 3 $12 million probably chunks, starting at the southern wing and moving north. And here's just a little bit of my contact information. So just a very, you know, I just wanted to present that to you as a very, a quick breakdown of where we are, and let you know, just that we're here, and we're so excited to be a part of your community, and would love any and all feedback. And just, we think that this is a really kind of an important project and one that really has legs right now.
Well, thank you so much, Stephen. David, do you think we could pass a resolution in support of the idea of making this site a public open space? Or how do you think we should proceed?
Well, if I understand, it's not an open space as much as it is an ability to experience the structure of the building as it remains. So I have no problem with a resolution.
I thought sort of, didn't Stephen, you say a memorial park as well?
Yes,
as?
We would see it as a memorial park. People could walk through the center of the structure as well as around it. Yeah, really as a much like you would see in Europe, a ruin among gardens.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
A ruin among
gardens.
Fine, so let's do a resolution
We
to support a ruin among gardens.
We have a raised hand from Michelle. Michelle, confirm unmuting.
Yeah, I just want to say I think this is terrific that you're doing this and that you're taking this on. It's a beautiful remains, and I really hope, you know, that ruin among gardens or park or whatever, I think that would be wonderful for the public. And so I encourage you, whatever supportive resolution the board thinks we should make would be fine with me. I have one question, however. Since it's going to have some historic perspective, I imagine there'll be either plaques or, I don't know, statuary or documents or some kind of a historic display of some kind. Is that what you're planning?
We think it needs both really a strong educational component like the one you described, both digitally available online, and then probably some sort of history there. You know, memorials are challenging to designing, and you know, I'm sure all of you know the fraught aspect of memorialization. And so yes, we think it needs a memorial-like component within it, you know, a Maya Lin-like piece that really contextualizes it, but does deserve a strong educational piece as well.
I'm in total agreement with that. What I would ask, however, and I don't know if you need to do this or if you can do this, but when you do a design for whatever you are proposing for how to relay that history or how to convey that memorialization, would you or could you come back to us for feedback?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I'll give you an example. I would not want to see a digital display on site
right.
for it to be online. I would not want to see a series of standing light boxes
Right.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Would
we're
like
aligned.
to see bronze plaques. I mean, you know, that's where I'm going with this. So if we could ask you to come back and whatever
Sure.
your design is, run it by us for
Oh,
consideration.
absolutely. Yes.
I think, Michelle, this is just a very preliminary resolution in
I
support
think
of
it
the
is.
overall objective. And that
I
they have a long way to go in terms of fundraising from public and private sources.
Very
I
long.
So I
agree,
was thinking of a very general resolution.
Yes, I agree with you totally, Jane. And maybe they'll be lucky. They'll be one big benefactor. And they'll get this
Please.
done quickly. Right. But no, I
Please.
completely recognize that in a general resolution. But while Stephen is here, I thought we would get him on record and hear what his intentions are. So thank you very much.
We have a raised hand from Marco. Marco, confirm a meeting.
Thank you, Jane. I think I strongly support your efforts. I think it's great, and definitely you're doing the right thing. The only concern that I have is, are you aware that the 75% of these ruins are within the flooding area? That means whatever you fix, you have to have a hydraulic engineer, because if you don't understand the mechanics of the structural part, then you can create a floating structure versus a rigid structure, and the rigid usually is going to destroy the ruins. So this is a very complex and technical issue that you have to be fully aware and probably very pricey. That's it.
Yes.
That's the only comment I want to make. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree 100%. We also have the challenges of soil issues, lead contamination from when it was a laboratory, but flooding is certainly, you know, it's a real challenge, and getting kind of trench drains and French drains throughout to really get the water out back into the East River is a critical part of the design.
Okay, let's share screen.
Saida, I think the resolution would be, and I'm happy to sort of write it, that we are just in support of creating some kind of a ruin among the gardens as it begins its initial planning and moves forward.
The only word I would add, Jane, as a memorial.
Yeah, okay, as a memorial. Thank you. I'll pass it by you, David, for sure,
Right.
before I submit it.
Right. And
Yes.
We ready for a vote?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Elizabeth said yes. Gail?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Alita?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Anthony?
Yes.
Marco?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It was fascinating, truly
Thank you.
fascinating.
Thank you so
Really
much.
appreciated your coming. Thank you. I know that, and we're just going to be very brief. Anthony is going to give us a very brief update on 45 East 70th Street. It's a very interesting application, which we heard, I guess, last month, and the month before. The Landmarks Commission, I guess in January, the Landmarks Commission actually sided with us on retaining the metal Juliet balconies, which is wonderful, but not the staircase. And then, so that was wonderful news. And then we also had the Rockefeller wing, the glass curtain wall replacement, which came to us, I believe, in December. And that, amazingly, at the Landmarks Commission, they voted to postpone a decision. Is that right, Anthony?
Yes, they
And
voted to
and
post.
Anthony's going to update us just for briefly on that.
Yeah, so they voted to postpone a decision largely because Kevin Roche's son, whose first name I forget, appeared after having not appeared before either Community Board 7 or Community Board 8, and raised issues that we discussed but felt were not particularly important in the larger scheme of things of protecting the art objects and both from sun and from rain. And it's worth noting two things. One is that Community Board 7 agreed with us, and there are two architects, Paige Cowley and Peter Sampton, on their equivalent of the Landmarks Committee. And they also thought that what Beyer Blinderbell proposed was fine. And furthermore, I had a conversation at another committee I'm on for a national organization, and Docomomo is not objecting to this. Docomomo being the kind of modernist watchdog preservation group, among other things. And they also think that in the larger scheme of things, this is not an important issue, and certainly they are in agreement with what we voted on in December. So anyway, that's the update.
Thank you. So now I appreciate that. It's so interesting to review these applications after they've gone to the commission and to see what happens and what the history is. In any case, now we have the issue of staff level approvals that don't come to us. The latest being the brick wall at 45 East 70th Street. David and I have thought about this a lot, and I know Alita did do an initial draft of a letter, and Elizabeth has brought up again the building across the street from her. David, do you want to take it from?
Sure. I would just remind all of us that we went into depth on this, including the issue of canopies that Elizabeth has brought up. And that we had a lengthy hours discussion with Sarah Carroll, a group of us, to see if we could adjust the way they handle the certificate of appropriateness versus the certificate of no effect, namely trying to get more of the no effect into the certificate of appropriateness area. According to Sarah Carroll, the proportions are about the same. And my own personal opinion, particularly as it relates to Alita's letter, is that I don't think we should be sending another letter after having had that conversation. I don't know what it's going to accomplish. The reality is that they have guidelines when they do the certificate of no effect. And if every now and then they do something that we might not have agreed with, I think the idea of, as a committee, are having to review certificates of no effect as well as certificates of appropriateness is really above and beyond what we should be doing, and above and beyond, obviously, what the Landmarks Preservation Commission expects us to be doing. So my own feeling is that we deal with things as they are. The other side of the coin is, I think Michelle made a good point tonight. I think as an issue of context, even if a portion of the project is being certificate of no effect and another portion is being certificate of appropriateness, I think it should be incumbent upon the applicants to at least give us the context so we know what's being approved under the certificate of no effect, and we see the totality of what is happening to the building. So that would be my recommendation, namely to ask our applicants to show us, as part of their presentations, anything that would be a certificate of no effect in conjunction with the certificate of appropriateness. And that at least gives us an opportunity to see context and hopefully without getting overly involved in the certificate of no effect to inform us so that we can make having the applicants provide us with the certificate of no effect information. I would not write another letter because I don't think another letter is going to do anything except annoy Sarah Carroll and have her throw it in the wastebasket. So I don't know if anybody wants to comment beyond that. I see Elizabeth has her hand up. Can we unmute Elizabeth? And how about?
I think she did.
Yes.
Am I unmuted?
You are.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. The thing that really scared me, and I'm not suggesting a letter or anything, but the canopy issue.
Elizabeth, I'm going to ask you to repeat that. I can't tell you. It's been a terrible evening. My internet connection has been so unstable.
Okay.
So if you start again, please.
The canopy issue, a lot of them scare me. This terrified me because they gave staff level approval to a virtually identical application that went to the commissioners, and the commissioners determined was inappropriate. And I think that the answer we got, they did not answer it when we had our meeting with them. They got back to me, which is why I sent it to the members of the committee. They used an excuse and a precedent for determining that this was staff level. They used a previous awning that was present prior to designation, removed prior to designation, and was also something that had been disapproved by the community, by the commission. And I think that the standard on that one is so low that if you painted your individual landmark purple with orange windows before designation, that creates a precedent similar to this one to allow you to repeat that after designation. And I thought that was about the worst decision I'd ever seen in a standard that makes landmarking useless.
Well, Elizabeth, the only thing I would hope is that it's the exception that proves the rule. Tonight, we saw that we had to vote on an awning and we had to vote on a canopy. So it's clear that a lot of these things are not just going for certificates of no effect, that judgments are being made. I am 100% with you about the situation you stated. I think they did a terrible thing. They made a very big mistake, and they're just trying to cover their tracks. But it doesn't change, going into the future. And it's very possible that your having brought that up has put them on notice that they did make a mistake there and that they have to be more careful. But I think that tonight showed us that they're not just sending canopies and et cetera to landmarks, but they are, for certificates of no effect, but they are where they feel that it's questionable, they are sending it for a civic certificate of appropriateness. And we voted yes on one and no on the other. And I think appropriately so. And I think it was appropriate that we got both of them.
Alita also has her hand raised. Alita, confirm
Thank
the
you,
meeting.
and I'm sorry for the background noise. If you don't mind, David, I'd like to just ask, I don't know if Rachel is here from Friends of the Upper East Side and Lo Vandervalk is here. In terms of the hearings at the Landmarks Preservation Commission, when they were looking to amend their rules and have those kinds of staff approvals, and there was a lot of public objection on the basis of lack of public input. Well, when the iteration of the rules provided for, when they were became in effect or effective, it felt as though there should be some mechanism for public input, and that's really what my issue is. But I don't see any opportunity for public input, and I just would like to ask, if it's all right with you and Jane, if I could ask Rachel and Lo what their memory is of that, and whether they also believe or don't believe. I'm happy to say I'm wrong if I'm wrong, that there is
I'm
supposed
happy
be
to
some
hear
kind of input.
everybody's point of view, and anybody who can share information that's going to be helpful. If Rachel and or Lo would like to comment, and they're here, they're welcome to do so.
Thank you.
Hi, Alita. Hi, everyone. This is Laura from Friends. Rachel is not here with us tonight. Unfortunately, I joined Friends after the rules were approved. At the time that the rules were approved, I was working at the LPC in another department, but I do recollect that that was a big issue that Friends took with the new rules, which is the lack of public input on applications that go to staff level. We actually also had another issue with LPC, that with this new online virtual hearings, they're recommending us to submit testimonies, especially for meeting items, on a Friday, 5 p.m. And the application materials are available only on a Thursday at night. So that gave us virtually less than 24 hours to come up with a decision. And especially this timing is extremely important in a meeting item where they don't accept public testimony. We wrote a letter to LPC that was co-signed by HDC, by Landmark Quest, and I wonder, I'm forgetting, I don't know if there was someone else, I think Village Preservation, I'm not sure, complaining about this, and also complaining about the fact that they usually, whenever we submit a testimony for meeting items, they usually just say for or against the application, and usually our testimony is far more detailed and complex just than in favor and against. They said they couldn't do anything about making sure that that the testimonies would be either read out loud or presented on the screen for the commission, but they have started releasing both the presentation materials and an updated agenda on Wednesdays, so the public would have more time to review the proposals. But that's only about the certificate of appropriateness ones. We're still having a problem of everything that goes through staff level. We did raise an issue about the brick wall as well on our testimony, and the Victorian Society also raised the same issue about the approval of the brick wall and the fountain and the flooring. And Sarah Carroll highlighted during the hearing that we were not, the commissioners were not supposed to comment on that, even though it seemed like they were going to, based on our testimony. That's, I can certainly ask Rachel a little bit more about the questions at the time that the rules were being changed, but I do know the Friends did oppose for that reason.
I don't know if Lo wants to add anything.
Lo, you can confirm a meeting if you have any comments.
Low?
Yep. I don't think he has any comments.
Okay.
But Michelle has her hand raised.
Michelle?
Yeah, thank you. I would have liked to hear from Lo. Did he hear you or is he just not?
He
No
did.
comment?
He's not confirming and muting.
Okay,
So
okay. I just wanted to say, I'm not so worried about being the squeaky wheel. If Community Board 8 Manhattan is the squeaky wheel to the Landmarks Commission, I don't mind that role. I think to the extent that anything we can do to heighten their sensitivity is a good thing. And I think they will take our silence for concurrence. So I understand what you're saying, David. I mean, it is at this point, they've done it. They haven't been as responsive as we had liked. You know, I get that, but I don't think it's such a bad idea as things come up to put ourselves on record, because we're the ones who we remain consistent. And I think that's a good thing.
Well, I think there are two questions. One is the rules with respect to what is done as a certificate of. One is the issue of the rule. Issue of whether we should be reviewing certificate of no effect applications. And I'm not sure, Michelle, where you come out on this. I don't think we have the time to review certificate of no effect applications. If somebody as an individual wants to do that and Landmarks allows that to happen, that's fine. But as a committee, I don't think we have the time to do that. On the other hand, as I said earlier, I do think as an issue of context, we should know what the certificate of no effects are with respect to certificate of appropriateness applications.
I guess my point was, we don't always agree on what on whether or not something is a certificate of no effect. That's what the problem is. And so when I mean, sometimes we even accidentally find out, you know, which has happened. But I think to the extent that we either find out accidentally or we're purposefully following it, whatever it is, I think that if we note those kinds of discrepancies in what we would do and what they would do, I don't see the harm in mentioning it, no matter how many times it happens. So for a letter, I don't think it's a
The
bad
squeaky
idea.
wheel becomes the annoying wheel.
Well, but you know, they often do very well, annoying wheels, if you look around.
Well, Michelle, if you want to write a letter for us every month, I suppose as a committee, you could submit it to us and we could decide whether we then want to submit it to the board. I just think it's a bit of going beyond what's really necessary. I'm not saying we shouldn't go back at some point, but my own experience on this committee for 10, 11 years, and my own experience as an architect submitting applications is that, yes, they make mistakes now and then, but they're going to make the mistakes no matter what we do in the future. And on balance, I think that they don't do a bad job, and they have only so many people to do that job. So the question is appropriateness from the point of view of what we should be doing within the realm of reasonableness on the part of what we can expect from the landmark.
David, if I may say that I do, you know, David and I have discussed this and I support David's position. And I think what David said earlier, that we actually saw two separate awning applications this evening, may show us that Sarah Carroll did take into consideration the comments that we made. I think there was Elizabeth, Alita, me and David had a Zoom meeting with Sarah Carroll in September. And I think that was very useful, and they certainly are aware of now Elizabeth, because that was brought up at the meeting. And I think we brought up 3 East 89th Street. We brought up a couple of examples. So I think David has a point when he says that at what point are they going to start throwing our letters right into the circular file? And that, you know, you want to be a gadfly and you want to be a preservationist, and the brick wall probably should have come to us. And I think some of the commissioners even noted that in their approval that we saw, or they're deciding to keep the elliptical metal balconies. So I think right now may be a moment to just put everything on pause and see what happens next.
We have a raised hand. Alita, confirm a meeting.
Thank you, Saida, and David and Jane. I have to say that I agree with Michelle, because it's not just that they may make mistakes and they may make them into the future, but we don't have any opportunity to comment. We don't know what they're doing. We don't hear what they're doing unless, I think, as Michelle pointed out, it's by accident. And some of these decisions are quite large with a lot of impact on the building, like the brick wall, like other decisions that they've made in the past, the window on Madison Avenue, the canopies that Elizabeth referred to without going into everything again. I think the lack of public input is what's really troubling me. It's not that we don't have time, because certainly we could, I think, make time for the bigger items. It's that we don't know what they are, and we don't have any information from them about whether our input has any meaning or significance for them. And I find that really, really troubling. So I guess that would be my point of view. And I don't know this, maybe I should, does Sarah Carroll leave when the mayor leaves, or does she have a term that goes beyond his?
I think when the new mayor comes in, he if he so chooses, he can ask for resignations.
Right.
Because it really is his prerogative, the mayor, to appoint the commissioners.
Then I don't
But
think
he may not. It depends, you know, it depends on the political landscape.
Then I don't think it hurts to be on the record with anyone who may come in that we care about this, and that despite maybe a surplus of letters and objections, that we will continue to want to have a vote in what's going on with the buildings in our neighborhood and the historic districts in our neighborhood.
Well, Alita, the
Thank
issue,
you.
do you want to be there to be able to tell Landmarks which applications should be certificate of no effect and which should be certificate of appropriateness? Or do you want to be there, or do you want to be there to review the certificates of no effect?
I want to, well, ideally both, I think, because we're the ones who are here, and we don't have any opportunity right now with staff level approvals to comment or even to know what they are.
Well, we've never had that for the 50 years that Landmarks has been going. And I'm sure if you go back in history, you can find a certain number of mistakes. Landmarks is never going to totally agree with us. Maybe they will sometimes, and maybe they won't. But I think I've mentioned this before. We had an intern half a dozen years ago who did a study of the level of agreement between what the board recommended through its resolutions and what the Landmarks Preservation Commission decided. And we were in agreement about 85% of the time. And I think that's pretty good. Whether that's still consistent or not, I don't know. I've seen some other statistics that say maybe it's a little lower recently or not. But I would never have expected us to be 100% in agreement. And I don't think we're going to be 100% in agreement if we spend twice as much time or 3 times as much time trying to do what you would like to do. Therefore, I'm very open to individuals going to Landmarks and reviewing certificates of no effect. I am not personally open to doing that as a committee. I think it's just too much for us to be doing as a committee.
It is a lot, but on the other hand, some other boards have said that the Landmarks Committee is seeing far fewer applications because so many of them are going to the staff. It feels like they disagree with us on some really significant issues, like the rooftop on the Hotel Wales, for instance, and the building on 96th and Madison. So I don't know what they are, and I don't know what the statistics are. It's just we don't have an opportunity. It's up to the committee or you and Jane to decide whether we should let a voice be heard. But the issue for me is that we don't have an opportunity to be heard. But you've heard what I thank you. You've heard what I have to say. I've listened to you. So
I just don't know what it is that we're going to achieve. And if what you want to achieve is more involvement in certificates of no effect or involvement in certificates of no effect, I don't personally think that's part of what the committee should be doing as opposed to certificates of appropriateness. On the other hand, I do think it would be a step forward for us to require applicants to provide us with certificates of no effect, with the certificate of no effect information, so we have context. And I think if we wanted to make that a piece of information for Sarah Carroll and to say, we had this meeting in September, we understand you have the rules, we feel that we really need more input, we understand what the limits are, but here is a way that we can have input, and this is what our board is going to request of our applicants. So I have no problem advising her that that's what we're going to do, if that's in fact what we do wind up doing. So
I would fully support having the applicants come in and then we could make choices. Maybe the committee could be divided up and each person could take a month and look at what's up before them.
No, I don't see.
No, Alita, that's fine if, some of us do have real jobs, have jobs.
We all do, Jane, and I know that we're all volunteers. It's just we're doing this because we're committed to the preservation, but that's fine. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you and David. It's my own view. And
well, we are arguing, but there's
I
always
just
we're
want to
having
make
a
another
friendly
point.
discussion.
Alita, for the Wales Hotel, they came to us, the applicant came to us, the public came to us. We did have a hearing on it. And the Landmarks Commission asked the applicant to come back with a revised design for the roof that we had no say in. That happens all the time. That's what happened at 3 East 89th Street. That happens often in applications, the difference between a public hearing and a public meeting. And you are right, we do not have a voice in those instances. So I think David's suggestion is great. If we get applications, we should put in our instructions to the applicant, add a line about how if there were certificates of no effect issued in conjunction with the application, we would like to know what they are and to see renderings of what the staff approved of. And maybe that's the first step, and to just put that in our instructions to each applicant, and then perhaps get a letter downtown that David was, for the issue David was referring to.
Yeah, I think why don't we see how it works for a couple of months, and if we see that it's being helpful, then I think maybe a letter to Landmarks at that point would be appropriate.
Okay, that's fine. And I think that's a big step forward. So thank you, guys.
Well, the discussion was useful, Alita. I don't mean to always play the devil's advocate, but I think David's initial comments were worth making.
Everybody's comments are important, even when we don't agree.
We have 2 other raised hands from Michelle and Barry. Michelle?
Thank you. Yeah, no, yes, everybody's opinions and thoughts are very valuable. I enjoy hearing them all. I just wanted to make a statement about the no effect, that we never heard them. That's absolutely true. This whole thing only became an issue with the new rules, because now, I just want to make this statement, that not for discussion, because now more applicants are falling under that umbrella. Yes, it was always, the process that we never heard them, but just more of these items are falling under that umbrella. That's why it's become such an issue. It's going to remain an issue. So we take you, you know how everybody feels. We'll go forward accordingly. Thank you.
Barry, confirm unmuting.
Yes, my first comments on this, I want to say I wholeheartedly agree with David's position and as refined by Jane. I think you're going absolutely in the right direction. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you, Barry. Okay, so we know what to
And I
do.
appreciate Alita and Elizabeth and Michelle's tenacity, everyone's tenacity on really our beautiful Upper East Side neighborhoods.
Jane, I hand the meeting back to you.
Well, I don't think, is there anything else?
I don't think there is
under new
anything
business?
else except for somebody to make a motion to adjourn.
Barry, Barry raised his hand. Alita seconded.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everyone. And also, Anthony, thank you for your update on the Rockefeller wing too. And we'll see everybody on Wednesday night at the full board meeting.
Right. And
Thank you so much.
Jane and I will see to it that the request about to the applicants to include the information on the certificates of no effect is carried forward. Okay, have a good night.
All right.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.